Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk.
Good evening and welcome. Talk to Solomon time. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host.
I'm Chief Steve Davis, the co-host.
Former Police Chief Steve Davis, co-host, and also co-hosting my friend Brent Johnson. Brent.
From down here in the southern hemisphere, all of you up there in the northern, it's a pleasure to be here.
Right. And Brent, of course, has his own program, and it's called?
The Global Freedom Report. Actually, we've taken the show off the air on a hiatus.
Oh,
We're
okay.
continuing the Voice of Freedom, and if you want to know about all my activities, just go to my website. It's www.freedomradio.us, and you can get our podcasts, you can get activities that I'm involved with, guest appearances on shows like this, as well as all the information about how to live free in a very unfree world. It's freedomradio.us, or give us a call at 888-385-3733. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome. All right. Now, talking about freedom, we have as our guest our friend Ted Shoebat, whose father was on this program for many years, and now Ted is picking up the mantle. Ted, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
Just fine. Thank you for joining us.
No
Ted, of
problem.
course, comes from a background in the Holy Land where there was and is and possibly always will be great consternation and strife and danger. But anyway, we're going to talk about the quote-unquote freedom or lack thereof now in Egypt. Ted.
Well, yes. You have Morsi, who wants to declare himself a dictator. He says it's only temporarily, but of course I don't believe him. And the judicial court in Egypt is going against him. But here's the thing we need to keep in mind. Let's talk about the protesters in Egypt. There's over 10,000 something protesters. It's a big deal, or hundreds of thousands, I might say, of protesters going against Morsi's edict to make him the supreme ruler. Now, Morsi has claimed that he is willing to compromise with the judges. See, in Egypt, there's there's two branches of power. You have the executive, the president, Morsi, and then you have the judicial, the judges. And so the judges, they want to observe and remain in their branch of power. But here's the thing. What are these protesters protesting about? They're not protesting against Sharia. They're protesting against dictatorship. No matter what happens, if you have a dictatorship in Egypt or if you have the executive and judicial branch observing their responsibilities, you're still going to have an Islamic tyranny in Egypt. And the Christian population in Egypt is still going to be persecuted. So let's keep that in mind. Whatever is going to happen in Egypt, you're still going to have a Sharia state. Even the Supreme Judicial Council, the president of the Supreme Judicial Council in Egypt, Hossam Ghariani, he himself said that he wants Sharia. He himself said that the majority of Egyptians want Sharia. So you're always going to have, it's inevitable, actually, that you're going to have an Islamic Sharia state in Egypt. And the Christians are going to be the victims no matter what happens.
Now, the Christians are going to be victims, as they are in Syria,
Yes.
and any place where you have Muslim power, because Muslim power defined is the power to wipe out or hurt or harass or fine or take advantage of, whatever term you want to use, those who are not Muslim. Is that fair to say?
That's very fair to say. In fact, one of the top Arab historians, Al-Waqidi, he said that Muhammad the Prophet had such a hatred for the cross that he destroyed anything that even looked like a cross. And the Mujahideen Shura Council made in one statement that when the Mahdi, the Islamic Messiah, comes, he will establish an Islamic state, a universal Islamic empire, and all the Christians will have their throats slashed, and all the Jews will be killed. And let's not forget that in the first, let's say in the first 3 centuries of Islam, the Muslims have massacred around over 50% of the Christian population. So anti-Christianity in Islam is inherent in the faith itself. You can't argue this. And you brought up Syria, and this is something that I think we should also focus on. The Egyptian revolution is over, and we have seen the result of that. Now we need to focus on the revolution in Syria, because what happened in Egypt is going to happen in Syria, and I think even worse than Egypt. The results will happen in Syria, because the Islamicism in Syria is so much more brutal, so much more violent. You have random killings of Christians going on every day, kidnappings, murders. Members of the Free Syrian Army, who McCain thinks we should work with, are going into buildings in cities like Aleppo and Damascus, going into Armenian and other Christian neighborhoods and sniping human beings for no reason whatsoever. And the Assad regime is protecting the Christian population, and in fact is giving weapons to the Christians to protect themselves. You had members of the Free Syrian Army, which is the top rebellion group right now, go into Christian neighborhoods in Aleppo, and you had Christians with guns, with ammunition and rifles, go in there and kick them out, with the Syrian military assisting them. So if we get rid of Assad, the Christians are going to be massacred, and let's not forget, there's still the Jewish population to worry about in Syria. The Jewish population is probably the smallest minority in the country. You only have 200 Jews, and the Assad regime is protecting them. And in fact, they're even building a synagogue, a new synagogue in Damascus right now. So if you take out Assad, the Jews and the Christians will be the greatest victims.
Brent?
One thing I wanted to ask you about, and then I'll make my comments as well, is that I had read that the protesters, that the judiciary in Egypt was going to strike down Morsi's dictatorial declarations, that he was above the law and all that stuff. But that the judiciary then became intimidated by the protesters and walked out. Have you heard anything of that sort?
I have difficulty understanding, but your
All
voice
right,
is a little bit static.
His comment was, did the judiciary back down on stripping these new potential powers from Morsi? Or were they intimidated by the crowds, or are they still standing?
No, the judges are still standing. They still have not given up yet, and the protesters haven't given up yet. There's protesting going on right now as we speak. So it's still going to go on. My prediction is that there's going to be a huge civil war in Egypt. In fact, there was a report that came out today from an Egyptian general. His name is Al-Yazal. And Al-Yazal, Saif Al-Yazal, he said that the Morsi government has taken heavy weapons from Libya, and they are planning on using these weapons on the protesters. So you're going to see mass violence on the part of Morsi. And what that's going to do is going to provoke reaction, violent reaction from the protesters. The protesters will get themselves armed, and you're going to see mass violence on the street. You're going to see, for example, turf warfare. And that will escalate to the point that you're going to have, like I said, a massive civil war. And eventually Morsi is going to win because he's going to have the upper hand. And he will be happy in the state of dictatorship. It's an inevitable, it's an inevitable reality that's going to take place.
Go ahead, Brent.
And yeah, the other thing I want to say two things. One of them is throughout history, and you can look at the Star Wars Episode 3 as an example, dictators always say, we're going to take the power, we're going to take it temporarily, then we're going to give it back.
Yes.
Hitler said that. Everybody says that. That's the credo of all tyrants and dictators. Temporary power that never ends up being returned to the people. The sources that I have, very good sources, have indicated that it is in the interest of the global elite to install the Muslim Brotherhood, which is very much supportive of Morsi, wherever possible, in Egypt, in Syria, and everywhere else they can, along the lines of destabilizing the oil-producing countries so they can get the price of oil kicked up high enough that they can open up the American reserves and clean up. This has been put forward to me by very, very credible sources concerning as they say, the interests of the global elite. Do you have any thoughts on whether or not some of what's happening in Egypt, Syria, may indeed be supported and promoted by the big-time mega corporation globalists?
Well, I haven't read that much on the globalist part, but I do believe that America is very much involved in what's going on in Egypt and Syria. Because the New York Times, for example, reported a couple of days ago that America is now considering on giving weapons to the Syrian rebels. They have already given millions of dollars to the rebellion. And like I said, and remember in 2009, Obama had a New Beginning speech in which he lended his support and gave legitimacy to the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, fast forward that to today. Syria right now has a new official umbrella opposition party led by Moaz al-Faqib. Now, Moaz al-Faqib was chosen by both Qatar and Obama gave them legitimacy. Now, what is that going to do to the Syrian rebellion? It's going to give them a huge confidence booster because they have America on their side. What gave fuel to the fire to the Egyptian revolution? It was Obama's speech. What gave morale to the Muslim Brotherhood and gave them legitimacy to engage the revolution and to lead the revolution? It was Obama's speech in Cairo. So Obama is giving them legitimacy. He's given both of these revolutions legitimacy. He has given them confidence, and now he's thinking about giving them weapons. McCain said that he wants to give the rebels weapons. Joseph Lieberman said the same thing. And I believe the reason why is because America may be, now I'm not being conclusive, but it's a possibility that America is simply very, very concerned about the Shiite power in the Middle East. They think Iran is the head of the snake. So they are going to destabilize and weaken the Shiite power in the Middle East, give more power to the Sunnis because they think the Sunnis are our friends. Hence why America doesn't have any problems with working with Sunni countries like Saudi Arabia and Turkey. So they will allow the Sunnis to defeat the Shiite, even help them in doing so, and then think, well, the Sunnis are no threat to us. They are an ally to us. And when that happens,
that falls apart when you think of Iraq, because Saddam, I believe, was Sunni.
Right, Saddam was Sunni. You're right, but here's the fact about that. Saddam was an enemy to Saudi Arabia, and both Bushes were afraid that Saddam was going to conquer Saudi Arabia and threaten their oil supply. So oil is definitely involved in this, and like I said, I think a fear for the Shiite power, for countries like Iran, is also plays a part in this. So, and also I believe that if Assad goes down, which I believe he will, what's going to happen is Turkey will slowly and gradually take control of Syria, and America and the other Western allies will simply allow that because they think, well, Turkey is a friend of ours, and Turkey simply wants to keep the peace. So Turkey will extend its power into Syria. And of course, I think they will say it's only going to be temporarily that we will control the country, just to make sure that peace is preserved. And I think the Ottoman Empire will be revived, because in the end of the day, that's what Turkey wants to do. They want to revive their Ottoman Empire and bring back the golden age of their great, extensive kingdom.
And of course, in Turkey, you have aspirations not for Syria, but for Iraq, because the whole northern part of Iraq is Kurds. The rest of the Kurds are in Turkey. Turkey doesn't like the Kurds, and so they'll use any excuse, in my opinion, to go in there and eliminate that threat of the Kurds to Turkey. Now, Chief, do you have a thought?
Sure, I have a thought. First of all, Barack Obama has shown now that instead of having America as his best interest, he has the interest of the Islamists and the rebels that are taking over there more than America. And all of the regimes that have now changed hands are now much less in line with our interests than they were before, and much less against America than before. And also, all of the Christians that are being persecuted and killed in all of these countries, Barack Obama is not speaking up for them at all. He's only speaking up for the Islamists that are fighting over these countries, trying to make it a more Islamic state that would be against the United States.
No question at all. David, let's talk a minute about Israel, because Israel is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Israel has, among other things, the Samson option. Israel's not going to wait until it is absolutely hopeless. Israel doesn't like Assad, but they know Assad will not attack them, and they know the Muslim group that is trying to take over will. They know that Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, I mean, you can see all the pieces falling into place. Talk to us about Israel.
Is that a question for me or for the other?
No,
the other guest?
That's for you, David.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. You said David, so I got confused.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
problem.
Ted. I'm sorry.
No problem. Well, I believe that the Syrian revolution is very much related to, it should actually very much worry Israel. Israel is not very optimistic about the Syrian revolution. I think Syria and the rebels are playing a role in the controversy over Israel, because the Syrian rebels have taken almost all of the villages near the Golan Heights. And the Syrian rebels themselves have said that they want to invade Israel. So Syria is definitely playing a role in this. Egypt is definitely playing a role in this. Let's not forget, Egypt and Syria are geographically very significant countries if you want to invade Israel, because Egypt is bordered with Gaza. Gaza is an enemy of Israel. Syria is bordered with Israel in the Golan Heights. And both the rebels in Syria and the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, both of them are connected. In fact, I believe that when Assad is toppled, which he very well likely will, when he is toppled, I believe that the Muslim Brotherhood will temporarily take control of Syria before Turkey extends itself into that country. So they're both interconnected. They both want to see the destruction of Israel. Now, Netanyahu has said very clearly that he is not worried about Assad. In fact, the heavy chemical weapons in Syria, he is not worried about them because they are in the hands of Assad. Assad is not stupid enough to launch any weapons into Syria. The last thing he wants is a war with that country. The problem is the rebels. The rebels are crazy enough to do it. And if they take control of Syria, which I believe they will, they are crazy enough to launch chemical weapons into Israel. And Netanyahu has said very clearly, very bluntly, that if the chemical weapons get in the hands of rebels, and those rebels are willing to launch any chemical weapons into their country, Netanyahu and the state of Israel as a whole will strike preemptively into the country.
And preemptively, let me define, from my knowledge, would be to eliminate the possibility of such an attack, which would mean not an artillery shell blowing up an aspirin factory, as Clinton thought, but rather taking out substantially all of the capability of Syria in the hands of the rebels to attack Israel. Am I close on that?
Right. It's in other words, it's preventative maintenance. Israel is not going to take the chance in dealing with rebels who are, to say bluntly, insane. If you look at the footage that these rebels have taken of themselves, they are absolutely sadistic, extremely violent, vehemently brutal in the way they kill and torture. I have seen some horrific videos, beheadings, strangulations, kidnappings, executions with guns on point-blank range into the head, stuff you would see from Nazi Germany. So these people are absolutely reckless. And they are, but the problem, well, that's not really a problem, but the thing that we have to keep in mind about the rebellion, most of these rebels are stupid. They are street rats, street thugs who are only interested in just reckless killing. They do not have the organization skills to configure some sort of a complex government. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood is organized enough to do that. So the Muslim Brotherhood will take advantage of the rebels' primitivism. And once the rebels get what they want, the Muslim Brotherhood will say, well, we are organized enough to take control of the country. We are favored by the free country, by the free world. We are favored by Obama. And Obama will simply allow the Muslim Brotherhood, just like he did in Egypt, to establish a government in Syria. And that government will pose a huge threat to Syria. Now, I'm not saying that they will immediately want to attack Israel, but gradually the signs will show that they want to execute some horrendous act of terrorism right into the state of Israel. And it's gradually happening right now. We see it. We see the signs, for example, in Egypt. We had 2 terrorists from Egypt enter and take over an Egyptian military base, steal 2 armored vehicles, infiltrate Israel, and try to implement a terrorist attack into the country. And Israel, with its air force, killed one of them, and then took down the other armored vehicle and took captive the terrorist that was controlling the vehicle. So we're seeing the signs. Egypt pretty soon is going to want to implement a full strike in Israel. Syria will do the same after it's done with its revolution. And I think Turkey will be one of the great orchestrators in establishing a confederacy of Sunni countries. Now, and that confederacy will pose a huge threat because it's going to be multiple countries all allied together.
All right, tell us which countries. When you say Sunni countries, you'd be talking about Turkey, Syria.
Yes.
Would that, you also be talking about Jordan?
Jordan, yes. Saudi Arabia.
Qatar, Kuwait,
Yemen.
Qatar,
Right.
UAE.
Right. Oh, UAE, exactly. All of these Sunni countries. Now, I think in the future, you're going to see a competition between Turkey and Iran. Iran will be the Shiite superpower, and Turkey will be the Sunni superpower, and they will compete who is going to be the tougher dog. Now, of course, I think Turkey will prevail because Turkey is much more powerful than Iran, for one thing, and they have more support. Over 80% of the Muslim world is Sunni. So, of course, majority of Muslims will side with Turkey. Now, that doesn't mean that Iran will be obliterated. Iran will still remain quite powerful because Iran will have nuclear capabilities. And Iran hates Saudi Arabia more than anything. Iran, once it gets nuclear, it will launch a nuke into Saudi Arabia before it ever tries to throw a nuke into Israel, because Iran hates Saudi Arabia more than they do the Israelis. Simply for the reason because not only is it a Sunni country, not only is it the head of the Sunni faith, because it is the motherland of Islam and the motherland of Sunni Islam, for that matter, but also because Saudi Arabia supported Saddam Hussein when Saddam Hussein was obliterating and utterly defeating the Iranians when they were at war. And so Iran has never forgotten that. So once Iran gets the nuclear capabilities, once they have a nuke in their hands, rest assured they're going to launch it right into Saudi Arabia.
Chief?
Well, another part of the problem, in my opinion, is the United Nations. Well, they're supposed to be working to prevent wars and help prevent this type of violence. What they're really doing is promoting dictatorships all over the world. They've just recently given some type of a status to the Palestinian group, and also they're working on taxing the internet and reducing freedom when they're, in my opinion, they're just adding fuel to this Middle East fire.
Yeah, they gave the Palestinians official observer status, which essentially is a step up from how it had been in the past. And it doesn't make them a member of the UN, but it does make them recognized as an individual, not necessarily a state, but as an individual entity. And then they're allowed to attend without any voting or anything, any participation. They're allowed to attend as observers any general UN functions. That's how that works.
We're actually going to talk about that
Ted,
next,
if you have any
next half hour.
On Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan's recent comments, and Stan, you might have thoughts on this also. He came out and he called Israel a terrorist state for their attacks on Gaza. How do you think that plays into this overall situation?
Well, it simply shows that Turkey is on its way to becoming an Islamist country. It still has, some traits of Western government still there, but Erdogan is gradually changing that. He is really reviving what Turkey used to be in the Ottoman Empire before Kemal Atatürk was given the power over Turkey by the Europeans. So that's all that shows. It's simply another foreshadower of the coming Turkish Islamist country. And I also want to comment on what the other gentleman has said about the left supporting dictatorship is absolutely correct. You have leftists here in America who want to make it illegal to criticize Islam. You have leftists who want to do that, and that is why the leftists, I believe, are supporting the Muslims. People have this false idea that Islam and conservatism are similar. Islam is not a conservative religion. It does not have conservative family values. Islam is a socialistic religion. It is a universalist religion. And that is why the left sees eye to eye with them. The left sees Islam and says, Islam has a similar goal as we do. We want to create a universal kingdom. We want to create a universal one world government, a one world utopia. We want to destroy Christianity, and they are happy as allies with the Islamists. That is why you have Obama supporting the Egyptian revolution. They are the people of revolution. They are the people who want to destroy the conservative status quo. That's all they want to do. Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm just going to say we're about out of time, so that and many other nefarious objectives. Ted, as usual, you've been a fountain of information. We look forward to having you back. Just in real short, how long will Assad survive, and will he launch these weapons, these chemical weapons, against the terrorists in his own nation?
I can't give an exact date. I can't say the future. I can't tell the future, but what I will say is once you see NATO getting involved in Syria, you can only count down when Assad will go, because just like NATO took out Libya, I believe Obama will use NATO to take out Assad.
Well,
so once you see NATO involvement, that's when you know you can see the coming storm. You can see an establishment within yourself that Assad is going to go pretty soon.
Thank you, Ted Shoebat, and give your website.
TedShoebat.com. And the name of the book is For God or For Tyranny.
For God or for Tyranny. I vote for God. Liberals, Muslims, and morons vote for tyranny. Thank you, Ted.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
We'll be back shortly with General Hutchins, and we're going to talk about the PLO recognition by the United Nations. Stay tuned. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's the kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you. And you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids. You have a spouse. You have parents. You have dependents. You have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com. Check it out. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back.